Hello, hello, hello. Guess who finally got a haircut? I had like literally that much off my hair. Nobody's noticed it. It's just rude. Expect me to notice when you've had a couple of centimetres off. Sometimes I just feel like I want to write things down. So this time I wrote down a script. I don't always write down a script, which is why I often go off script. But today we have some notes. Rabbit Island. Now, you might think I'm spinning you a false tale. But no, legitimately, there is a place in Japan, of course, that you can go that's an island that has rabbits. Now, the history of this aforementioned island is a little bit boring, right? You'd maybe expect Japan, very spiritual, or at least that's my take on it. This island's official name is Ōkunoshima, but it is colloquially known as Usagi-shima. Yeah, I got that right. Yeah, I've done so many takes of this. I think Usagi means rabbit, and I think Shima means island. But I could be spreading false information here. You're going to have to confirm that yourself. And the spiritual connection to the rabbits isn't necessarily as far-reaching as you would hope. It kind of happened because it was a poison gas factory in World War II. And then, like, there aren't really any apex predators there. So some rabbits got there and then multiplied. And the reason that this is big, like, Rabbit Island, is because a load of tourists came and went, oh my God, a rabbit, and then fed them. And then the rabbits keep coming up to the tourists. It's like that, you know. What's the word? They feed off each other type thing. Tourists are like, oh, a rabbit. Rabbits are like, oh, some food. It's not like really, really ancient. Rabbits have always been connected to the populace. It's not that sort of thing. Not that that should be a case for every magical animal encounter, but just don't go into it expecting that sort of relationship. There are two ways that I know of to get to this island from Hiroshima. You can go or come via train or via bus. And I think what we did was we went via bus and then came back via train. It's not hard to do, but it's also not massively easy. So some places you go to, it's like, get on that, go straight, and you're there. With this, you kind of had to book the tickets, find the right area from, I think it was Hiroshima train station. I think both ways, even to get the bus. I can't remember. I'm stretching my memory back too far. But you go to a place, it's like it is where they say it is, and then you have to, like, you get dropped off on the bus, and then you have to walk away. And it's not too bad if you've got Google Maps on or, you know, some other navigation software. But it's not like, hey, welcome to Rabbit Island, you're at the gate. So yeah, like it's not hard, but it's not easy. I would also recommend, if you do want to go, that you go relatively early in the day. I think we went on maybe one of the very first buses there, and we came back on one of the later ones, and I don't think we stayed too long, but we'll come to that. But I would definitely recommend getting in early so you have enough time if you want to. Also, dress for weather changes. You're going out of the city, going to an island. We were there in the springtime, so probably more likely to have weather changes, but it's always worth bearing in mind that you're going out of the city's climate into somewhere unknown. So picture it. You have been dropped off by the bus or the train. You're walking to the pier that you need to get the boat from. And it's not necessarily lining up right. So you're off the bus and you're like, oh, there's a boat at some point. And you're looking at it, you're like, if I rush, I can get the boat. Don't bother. The boats are relatively regular, but what you also need to do is go to the shop that is on the land, even though Japan is an island, the land side, and you need to buy tickets, buy rabbit food. You cannot buy rabbit food on the island. You should not be giving the rabbits anything other than the pellets that you can buy as well. So any food that you want to buy it in the shop. If you think that you're going to run out of food, just buy a bit of extra. It's better to have too much than too little. I'm coming from a position where we saw the rabbits and walked around the island. It's not like a massive island or anything. And we were out of pellets by the end, I think. I might be confusing this with when we went to Nara to see the deer, because we were out of those quite quickly. And gladly so. It is worth bearing in mind that if you want to, there is a stamp collection on the island. So get the stuff that you need to do the stamps. There's also, I think it's the last stamp that you get in the shop. What you do is you find all the stamps. I don't think they're too hard to get. I think there's maybe one at the port, one at the hotel. Oh, hello. We quite like stamps. We had a notebook for all the ekisampu. I think we picked up one of these stamping collections each, but we only really needed one. Not to ruin the surprise for anyone. Pretty sure it actually says it on the thing that you put the stamps on, but you hand it in and then you get a pack of postcards back. I wasn't massively keen on the postcards. They were just pictures of rabbits, and we took a lot of pictures of rabbits. But I mean, if you want postcards, you might want to do like we did and put your stamps in your Eki Stample book. It's up to you, really, but that's the information. You've stocked up on rabbit food. You have got your ticket. You're about to board the boat. There were 2 boats. One had a load of branding, the other had less on. We went on the one with loads of branding first, and we were like, hey, we're on the rabbit one. And also it's one of those things where we're like, oh, we're going to be on so many forms of transport today. We're going to be in a boat, on a train, on a bus. We didn't go on a plane. It's like, wow, we've ticked everything off today. Got to get the joy where you can. Going back to a bit of a history of the island, during coronavirus, tourism was reduced and the rabbits kind of reverted to their wild ways. As soon as we got off the boat, we were mobbed by rabbits. Okay, so if your primary concern is seeing rabbits, do not worry. There are plenty of wabbits to see. But the reality of it is that you are going to an island to see wild animals that have learnt that if they come up to humans that they wouldn't normally come up to because you are a higher predator than them, then they will get food and that they're probably going to be all right. It's also worth, on a more positive note, bearing in mind that you are told to not touch the rabbits. But if you sit down, they will jump on you. The really cheeky ones will be like, hey, you got any food? And again, I don't know how I feel about this. I like being approached by animals, but also, again, it's a learnt behaviour. They wouldn't do that naturally. It's very, very, very tied to tourism. If you're somebody who wants to stick 100% by the rules, you have to stop the rabbits from jumping on you if you do sit down. Respect the fact that they are wild animals. Do not try to pick them up. Do not try to flaunt the rules. It's not fair to them. It's just not appropriate. We're coming back to the point that I am circling around. They are wild animals and they are living in the wild. That means that the harsh reality of it is that they have injuries and matted fur. We saw rabbits that had their, this is going to be a bit of a trigger for some people, so maybe skip ahead 20 seconds. They had eyes pecked out, they had bits of fur hanging off, they had injuries, they had maggots. It was very, very sad. The odd one had the head like damaged so that they were jumping like that. It's reality. It is how wildlife is. But if you are going into this experience expecting it to be all hunky-dory, kawaii Japanese, that is not the reality. And on that, the reality of you giving your money to this whole organisation is not for vet fees. It is for the tourism operators to put the boats across. It's for tourism. It is not for the welfare of these animals. Also, there's poo and pee, right? There's poo and pee. If you want to go to a place with the primary purpose of seeing wild rabbits and guaranteeing that you will see them, this will work, but you will get the full reality of that. On the island itself, I don't think there's that much to do. There's basically a hotel, and again, this is harking back to the fact that it was like a military testing place. It's not got a load of history and culture that we found anyway. It's really just that there are rabbits and a bit of nature and a hotel. The hotel does have a small gift shop. It's very much rabbit themed. You can get rabbit themed food. It was a little bit abnormal, I think, the restaurant menu. I vaguely remember looking at the menu and going, But then I'm a very fussy eater, so it might just be me. You are definitely held captive by the fact that you've only really got one place to buy anything. Food, souvenirs. There are a lot of rabbit souvenirs. But by the time we'd gotten to the hotel gift shop and we had some of these experiences with some of the rabbits that were not taken care of, it tarred it for me. It felt very exploitative. It felt like all that was happening was we were dangling this promise of food over these poor wild animals. And yeah, they were getting food out of it. But it really upset me. It upset me that I was paying money to make the problem worse, or to at least not make it better. I wasn't paying money to respect the animals, like beyond the base respect where I wasn't grabbing them. I didn't like it. I would have felt so much better if they were being cared for, if there were some injuries and then there's a vet on the island or something like that would have made the experience a lot better. Part of it was my expectations of, there's no predators on the island. I didn't necessarily think about the fact that they could have injuries. It definitely is partly on me. It's this whole animal welfare question. What is acceptable to you? Do you want to go see the animals? Do you want to be part of the experience? Or would you rather leave them to it? There are more rabbits on that island because of the tourism, hypothetically, because they've got more food source, etc. But there's also potentially more suffering. And with the coronavirus coming along and people not being there, the population suffered, the expectations suffered. That's not fair. That's all driven by human needs, wants, whatever. It doesn't sit well with me. You could get a bus to the hotel and back. We ended up walking. It's not a very big island. We just kind of walked around it. There's a little bit of nature walk. We went all the way up a hill. There are a load more rabbits when you go around walking. They're not like the mob rabbits who greet you off the boat. And I say that, they're nothing compared to the deer and Nara. My God, that was an experience. But when you go out into the wilderness a little bit more, then it's a little bit more of a balance with nature. Oh, we saw some really cute little baby bunnies. I like babies. Babies are really cute. But again, I just feel a little bit conflicted with the whole thing. You do get some nice views as well if you walk up to the top of it's not a mountain, it's a hill. Get some nice views over the bay. And if you want to, you can see some old bits of military stuff. Whee! The whole experience made me really question whether what I had experienced of animals when we were in Japan was any better. Thinking about the monkeys at Nagano or Kyoto. And I went, oh, if only it was prepped better like at those places. But actually, both Nagano and Kyoto, I don't think there's human intervention. I think the difference is that the rabbits are not the apex predators. The monkeys were more so. I didn't come as close to the harsh realities of the fact that these are wild animals. It still felt different. And I keep circling back to, is it exploitative? Animals in a zoo are looked after, but their life is extended. And that may not be a comfortable life. These monkeys and the rabbits, they're in the wild, so it's maybe a better balance. But the rabbits and monkeys, actually, their lives revolve around humans. And where that is taken suddenly away, like in the pandemic, it's really harmful. I don't know where I land on it, because I value the ability to have the choice. But when I see suffering, I find it really hard to come to grips with. I do think that just having a vet there, having some way to make it a nice place for the rabbits on purpose rather than just capitalising on the fact that there's tourism interest, would have made it better for me. But whether that actually solves my core issues is something else. So it really depends on what you want out of your trip. If you want to go see some rabbits in the wild, guarantee that you'll see them. Go to the island. Please do bear in mind the lessons that I took from it, because I didn't come out of this experience feeling really good about myself. And I think that is probably the right way to be feeling. Sounds really dramatic. That's the harsh reality when people say, oh wow, you're away for 2 years, that must have been amazing. It was. You experience quite a lot of things that make you question what is right and what is wrong, and you learn a fair amount about yourself and the world. And yeah, that's all I really got to say. You can tell how this experience left me feeling. Hopefully a lighter one for next time. Bye.